All right. Good morning, fabulous people. I'm so excited today because I am going to uh we're going to I just wrote a blog post on this, but I wanted to have a conversation about it for those of you who would never read the blog post. So my cousin actually, shout out cuz, hey, I love you. She sent me something she had gotten off Facebook. And so I'm going to read it out loud to you guys. And then we went ahead and did a blog post on it so that the answers will be out there in the world. But here we go. All right. So, Jessica, you listening?
Mhm.
All right. So, this is uh, a post from Facebook. It's a question. So, it says, So I'm a lot older than my now husband, 5 years. We are almost 50. Well, I am anyway. So let's say she's 50, he's 45. Our youngest is 4. Wow. She still co sleeps with us, and I'm perfectly fine with it, even though I act like I don't like it to him. Uh, Before we had our last kid, our sex life was off the charts. It slowly, it slowly has been dwindling down. Now we may have sex a few times a month. And for me, that's great. But I just don't have the energy or will to want it. But since he's become a gym rat, he's want to get more and more. My question is, what are some ways or things that you ladies suggest I do to maybe that you do to heighten your drive? He's very handsome and he's definitely built, and he's at first glance from a woman would want to rock his boat, but he's not romantic, nor does anything to get the engine going. Although I've expressed that to him that I needed that. Instead, he will send me a text asking me to clap some cheeks or something like that, and it makes my skin crawl. I typically blame my daughter in bed with us as a reason, but he's getting frustrated with me and we're arguing about the smallest things. He got mad because I cut his pineapple into tidbits and not chunks. The
Oh,
man is
wow.
going through it. Okay. All right. So just if you had this case, so I don't know how many kids they have, but their baby is 4. So let's say they have 3 kids. So let's say the baby is 4. They have 3 kids. She's 50, he's 45. How would you handle this case? What were the things you would be working with?
So let me just clarify here. So he's not romantic, that's what she's saying.
Correct.
And when he sends like dirty text messages, it doesn't really do anything for her.
I think she said something to the
They
effect of
cringe
it
or
makes
something
her
like that.
skin crawl. Yeah,
So she's more of a romantic
yeah,
and he's more of let's get it done
yeah.
type of feel. It's going it's going to be the whole I always say the yes, no, maybe list of talking about things that are like a definite green light, the no, what is a hard pass, and then maybe something that we can kind of revisit or start to take baby steps with, and trying to find together the romance in certain things on his end, and then try to get that thrill or that lust, if you will, out of the romance area that she's in, and trying to find a happy medium. It could be some things where they're gonna have to get creative. And a lot of times I've told couples this week, I've learned not to like the term let's reestablish, let's go back to what we used to be. Because I put that in the same formula of like when you watch a movie and you rewind, you go through all the good and the bad stuff. So kind of knowing that we're in a new stage. So
Yeah.
we don't need to rekindle, we just need to
Okay.
create more. So
So
it's gonna have
don't go try to build the old fire back again. Just start all over, figure out
yeah,
where we are now and how do we build a new fire for where we are now and our needs now.
yeah. I would think so. You gotta find a happy medium.
Yeah. Yeah. So all right. Anything else you would do, you think, in handling this
No,
case? Okay.
I don't.
All right. So I think if I was handling this case for her, we would first we gotta get the baby out the bed. we got to get the baby out the bed. And that's like, because as long as that baby is feeling a, a, a portion of your touch needs, then you aren't going to want to be touched in any other way. So I would say first, we got to get the baby out the bed. And then we got to put a lock on the door. So that's their time. And so convincing her to do that would probably be hard, but we got to do that. It's kind of like if somebody's feeding you chips or feeding you chips or feeding you chips, you're not going to want the big Margiano's dinner. You're just going to be too full. Like, I'm good. And so we got to get the baby out the bed with her. I would think asking her husband, okay, if she's been saying this is what she needs romantically, you're 45, you're not a young 20-year-old, like,
out here.
like you're not a dumb jock. You're 45. You've heard this on TV shows, even sportscasters from now and again will talk about what women need. Podcasts, church services, books, somehow you've heard it somewhere on what women need. And so figure out for him what's the disconnect and what he's not giving. I know a lot of my guys will say, well, what worked before doesn't work anymore. Okay, but is she telling you what's going to work now? And so with some of my couples, I make them write it down. Okay. So I get, she is not the girl you met 30 years ago. She needs something differently, wants something differently. They probably met 20 years ago. So how do we figure out what that is now? So the same way we figured it out the first time, a lot of conversations. Usually when people get together in the beginning of a relationship, it's a lot of conversation. For a lot of women, conversations alone will do it. That'll make me feel emotionally connected to you. And once I feel emotionally connected to you, then I can do physical connection with you. So figure out for him, what's the disconnect? What is he hearing? What is he not hearing? There's a lot of women who think that they're being clear and they're not. They're throwing hints and he's not getting them, has no clue. I think all of my guys will say throughout all of my private practice, I don't get hints. And so I would make her write it down. And so you give me a list of 20 things that he could do for you that would be romantically engaging for you. Give him the list. All right, so you got the list, we clear. Or even I might make him write the list in practice, in session, like here's a legal pad, write down what she says and have her say it. So make sure that that's really clear. Also, make sure that there's some type of equal division of labor in the household, because that doesn't feel good. If she's doing all of the work and he's just chilling, watching the game, and then after she's cooked dinner, bathed and got the kids ready for bed, did their homework, and he's watching the game. Like last night was Thursday night football. So he gets in watching the game. They meet in the bedroom. He's been sitting down, essentially kind of resting for the last 3-4 hours. And she's been running all over the house. And so then they fall in the bed together. And he's like, hey, sorry, my friend is texting me and she shouldn't. So I don't know. She's calling me. So I apologize, y'all, for that throwing me off. So that's the thing. So like make sure that we're doing that. And then I would probably make sure that they commit to a date night where they're getting out of the house. If they've ever danced before, I would like for them to do something dancing. So where she's feeling their bodies together. But getting out the house once a week for a date night, and once every other week for a date night, that would do it. That would probably make them feel more connected again. Okay. All right.
So wait, the four, I thought I heard it wrong. So they still have a 4-year-old or 5-year-old?
4-year. I don't know. They have this is what she said. She said the youngest is 4, which implies that they have more children.
Okay, so that's the bed. So like even like with the whole, because I thought I heard it wrong. Even with what I said about being creative, while they're working on like what you said, getting the child out of the bed, maybe it's gonna have to be doing some romantic things or some intimate things that's outside of the bedroom. Because a lot of times I like to tell couples the bed is not the only destination where you can have sex or you become intimate with each other. So while you're reconnecting and you're creating this new narrative of your relationship based on where you guys are at now with life and children and age and what have you, being creative is kind of builds up that new desire that you guys have with one another. So getting creative in that mindset. So when you finally get the child out of the bed,
Yeah,
the bedroom action is gonna be a totally different dynamic, maybe even more intense.
it is. Definitely so. There's one piece in here where she says these that he sends me these type of text messages. That's also
Mhm.
probably where I would make a couple write down the text messages that you want to hear. So he's saying
Yeah,
he's texting what he wants to say. You need him to text what you want to hear. But how does he know what that is? Because sometimes we want, you should know how to love me. You should know what I like. Yeah, people change. And what if
yeah,
we don't? And so that's another thing I'm going to say. If your partner doesn't know, or they can't they can't put themselves in your shoes, just because it's hard sometimes, then write down a list. These are 20 possible text messages. At this point, put it in Chat GPT. These are 20 possible text messages that you can send me that's going to be better. Don't send me what you want to send. Send me what I want to hear.
yeah,
And I think the biggest thing is we want couples working in partnership together. And so I would love, even though she put this out on Facebook for the world to answer, for her and her husband to sit down and say, okay, I know you want us to have more sex. I want us to be a couple that's committed to each other and works well. Okay, so how do we meet in the middle? And what does more sex look like for you? And I'm 50, so I'm probably not going to be going every day,
yeah,
even
yeah,
though
and
you're 45 and you want to
it's
go every day. Also, she talked about he's a gym rat. Is she exercising? Is she doing anything
yeah,
like take care of herself? And you don't have to do much. And so 15, 20 minutes of yoga in the morning make a lot of people feel just better about being in their body, and makes their body just a little bit stronger when they can do a couple of floor exercises, chair exercises, whatever you can do, a walk around the block. It's fall in Georgia right now. It's a beautiful time to go for a walk. And this could be
yeah,
a bonding experience with you and him, or you and the kid. It's like, okay, we're gonna get you out the bed, but we're gonna start walking around the block in the evening before we put you in the bed, or something. And so really having those conversations together. All right. Anything else coming up for you on that today?
no, not on that one.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is I want people to know, is to communicate, 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 and communicate as if the problem is outside of the couple. So it's not you want too much sex, you never want sex. It's okay. Right now, neither one of us are happy with where sex is in the relationship. How do we come together and fix it together? Okay, what do you really need? What do you really need? Also remember, because we'll like to say, well, they want sex all the time. They may want sex all the time, but they may not. Usually, when I'm in session and I look at a person who's wanting sex all the time, and I say, okay, realistically, what are you wanting? Well, I'm okay if we have sex twice a week. Okay. They say twice a week. Why do you keep saying all the time? Because you're blocking yourself. If you are constantly saying, well, my partner wants it all the time, then that leaves you in a position of saying, I can't fulfill that. That's too high of a goal. But when you get the reality, the realistic, when that partner says, realistically, I'm good with twice a week. Okay. So you can never ever ever again say your partner wants it all the time, because you just got the truth in this session. The truth is they want it twice a week. Okay. Let's talk about what needs to happen for that to happen. Now, if you're not doing it twice a week now, you're not even doing once a week, then me as a therapist, I'm gonna come in and say, okay, I understand you want twice a week. Let me get y'all to once a week first. When can that happen once a week? And so if you have small kids, you probably have to schedule it. If you have kids in sports, you probably have to schedule it. And when I'm talking about scheduling it, I'm never talking about, although it might be nice for some couples, just to show up at the bed naked and then let's jump in and start touching each other until something happens. When I'm talking about scheduling it, I'm talking about setting out a specific time when we will not be interrupted, where we can concentrate on each other. And what does that need to look like? So does that need to look like us sitting on the couch first and having a good conversation with each other, a very connecting conversation? Does it look like us playing a board game, cards, spades with each other, so we remember that we like to make each other laugh? Do we need to take a walk together so that, we got outside and fresh air? Like that specific designated time where we can reconnect emotionally and set the stage for something physical to happen. Because that's what people did when they date. Like,
Yeah.
if I got a date on Saturday night, I'm telling my friends, don't worry about me, don't look for me, I'm good. It's that designated set aside time to spend with this partner, and the potential for sex is there. And so that's what I want when I tell people to schedule it, you know? And for some of my clients, they'll say, well, I can't go from like cold to hot in a 20-minute conversation. Okay. So then what else do we need to put in throughout the week that would keep you at warm so that when we have that designated time, you can go from warm to hot? And so that may be, let's see, I have some couples, they have coffee for 15 minutes every morning together. Just before the kids get up, you and I, in between your shower and my shower, coffee every morning. And that does it for them, a connecting conversation. I have a couple of couples who they talk on the lunch break. Okay, you got 5 minutes, I got 5 minutes, let's connect. I have a couple of couples that have a Sunday brunch or Friday breakfast. Um, and so figure out, how do we get it in those small bites? So can we have a connecting conversation as we both drive to work, or you drive to work and I'm dropping the kids off? Or like or do every night before or right after we put the kids together, we sit on the couch and just massage each other's shoulders, back, feet, or something. Nothing sexual, but that we're touching and connecting. So then when we get to that point, we feel like we're starting from a warm, connected place as opposed to a cold place.
Yeah.
And so that'll work.
I think it also touched on what we talked about, I think this week about having that shared vision. Is you guys aren't enemies in this topic because you guys both want to be connected and both want sex. It's just how are we going about getting to that goal?
Yeah,
And how can we work together individually for the betterment of our system, if you will, to try to achieve that goal? We're both want the same thing. It's just you have your strengths, I have my strengths on the team. Let's work together to see how we can pull it together for our shared goal.
definitely so. Definitely so. Okay. All right. Last words.
I think you said it's all about communication because once you rip that band-aid off, it's really not that bad. People are very understanding as long as you're comfortable with being transparent with them. You guys can find some type of wiggle room that you didn't know you had based on you should already know. Nobody is a mind reader at all. Even us as therapists, we're not mind readers at all. We have to ask you all the questions. Even if we have the expertise, we still don't know you. You are the expert of your own life, your own emotions, your own feelings. You know everything. Like you have to give us a game plan of what your goal is. You have to give your partner a game plan of what your goal is within the relationship and what strengths you have to contribute to that.
Yeah. I think my last thing is, people want to be wanted. And so if
Mhm.
you want me, but you can't for whatever reason, I can understand that because I know you want me. And so think about people when they're deployed. Some of those couples stay together and they're highly connected. I've actually heard a couple of people say they were more connected when they were deployed than they were back in person. And so I get that you can't get to me or something's happening and you can't have sex with me right now, but I need to know that you want to. And so if I know that you want to have sex with me, but you can't for whatever reason, yeah, it's amazing how people they're okay with that. People can be okay with a lot if they know that you actually want them and they want to do this. And so if you can say, hey, babe, I'm really wanting to have sex, like I miss our sex life, but this kid is sick or this is going on, or I'm really, really tired at the end of the day and I'm trying to figure out how to work it differently. But I see you, I hear you, and I want to because I want us to work well and I want to make sure you're happy. Because I want you to make sure that I'm happy. And so, we're gonna make it through this and know that I know that you're there. Um, that that will do it for a lot of people. It will. I'm gonna say 90%. 90%. Every now and then somebody's really married to a real jerk. But most of the time, people are married to really good men and really good women. Because this can happen to women too. As a matter of fact, it does. I was just on a case or talking about a case last night, um, where the guy started working this new job and he's working all of these hours, and so they haven't had sex in 2 years. Okay, yeah. I get that you're tired and you work a really labor intensive job, but you can take a day off every now and then. Hey, babe, I'm really tired. A regular work week, I can't get it in. But when I take these days off, that's going to be just me and you. Can you take these days off too? We'll put them on the calendar. And so either once a month we'll do something, however it works for you. But if there's a will, there's a way. And so that's the biggest thing, is making sure your partner believes that you are willing. Like that'll take care of it. If you want to have sex with me, but we can only have sex every 6 months, people can be okay with that. It's when I don't think you want to have sex with me. You don't care that I'm suffering, that my needs aren't getting met. That's when we really come into problems, is when they think you don't care. So, okay. All right. Have a fabulous, fabulous Friday, people.
Bye.
Bye.